Mark, I imagine you spent a lot of this week reviewing some of the Pacers' comebacks, just the nature in which those late game situations happen for them. What maybe felt like a common denominator tonight, and where'd you sort of sense things went off the rails?
The common denominator is them. That's a really good team. Credit them, for not only tonight but their run. They've had so many games like that that have seemed improbable, and they just play with a great spirit. They keep coming. They keep playing. They made plays. They made shots. So they deserve to win by a point. We got to learn from it. There's obviously a lot of things we can clean up, but credit them. They went and got that game.
Again in the front row.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Mark, was this reminiscent of Denver Game 1 to you, just controlling much of the game and until the very end? And is that experience you can maybe lean back on?
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs take you to the limit, and they put your back against the wall in games, in series. If you make it this far, you have to endure to do that, and it gives you rich experiences that you can draw on. So the biggest experience we've had is understanding that every game's a new game. The most important game in this series is always the next one, regardless of the outcome. We would have liked to win tonight, but tonight was a starting point, not an end point. There's a lot of things we can improve on. There's a lot of things I'm sure Indiana thinks they can improve on, and now the series starts to evolve. So would have liked to get the game, but need to be a better team in Game 2.
On your right, Tim, third row.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. What changed defensively for you guys, offensively for them after halftime?
I thought they loosened us up a little bit. They took better care of the ball. Obviously, I'm sure that was a huge theme for them coming in and at the half. So I thought they did a good job of attacking. They made a couple more shots, obviously. We'll have to look at it, but I thought our conversion on the turnovers in the first half hurt us a little bit. Like, we didn't get the kind of juice for that squeeze that we normally do when we turn teams over, so we can take a look at that. I thought offensively for us, we hit the paint like crazy. We took like 50-something shots in the paint for only 40-something points. So we can look at those. We got to finish stronger. We got to be stronger with the ball, or we got to spray some of those out and look at those pictures. But this is what happens when you play a team. You learn them, you get a feel for them in Game 1, and then the series starts to evolve.
On the left over here.
Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, opportunity lost to lead all night and then lose. How do you not let it trickle into the next game? And what have your guys done to lead you to believe that it won't be sort of a, maybe the defining game of this series?
Well, there's a lot more games left in the series, so we understand that. We got to get ourselves to 0, as we always do. That's a habit that hopefully we've formed. These guys have made a habit of being able to get ourselves centered and play our best game in the next game. So you got to tip your hat to them. They got us tonight. They played really well. They deserve to win, but we got to learn from it. We got to improve like we would if we had won the game, and get ourselves ready for Game 2. It's really what it comes down to.
Front right, Nick.
Mark, you mentioned the conversion and some of the stuff you had around the rim that just didn't go down. What did you notice in real time about maybe the angles you all were getting on drives, or some things there that you all can clean up in Game 2?
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. I thought we were a little sloppy on some gathers. They got a piece of the ball on some of the plays. I thought there were some that we probably jammed up there, and we could have gotten to 2 feet or sprayed the ball back out. And some of them we just didn't finish, which is part of the game. I mean, we don't have to be perfect, but we do have to learn from it. This is a team we haven't played a ton this season, so tonight gave us a feel for them, and we've got to take that feel, figure out where we can improve, and just improve as the series goes on. That's always our mantra through these series, is we just have to grow with the series. That's going to be our challenge in this one. But we got to get to work on that, obviously.
Myron up front.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, you got the turnovers tonight, 25, but they didn't produce a lot of points, and you led the playoffs in points off turnovers. And also, Obi Toppin, it's like every time he came with a big three-pointer, was he doing something to get open? Or was they running some stuff for him? But he seemed like he really hurt you tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers, that I thought was a big part of it. Our conversion, we want to be fast up the floor. I didn't think we converted a lot of advantageous situations tonight, so we can learn from that. Like I said, we want to be in the paint against this team. Thought we got there a lot and just didn't convert those. So offensively, there's things we can look at. And then defensively, they made some plays. They made some shots. I mean, Neesmith made some big shots, and Toppin, shot the heck out of the ball. I don't know what they shot as a team from 3. I think it's like 45 or 46. But, They shot the hell out of the ball. They have all playoffs. We got to look at the ones that, if they're contested and they just make a shot, you tip your hat. But there was a lot of them that were on our breakdowns. We got to learn from those and credit them. They made us pay when we made mistakes tonight.
Dan in the center.
On Yahoo Sports. Seemed like with some of the switching that you guys were getting into, they were able to get a little bit more of their, Siakam or Turner on some of your smalls. Is that, obviously that's part of game plan, but is that something that you're concerned about with the height advantage that they're able to get to down low?
Only if they take advantage of it. Some of it's the cost of doing business, to be able to get perimeter speed on the court, get more switching in the game. It's obviously something that is a trade-off, but we can look at it. I thought the small lineup at the end of the first half looked pretty good. Offensively, we didn't move the scoreboard, but I thought we were getting some good stuff there. That's why I went back to it down the stretch. But, when we're small, we have to be pressure-oriented and contain the ball. And I thought they got some cracks against us that hurt us a little bit more than the post-ups did. But we'll look at everything. We obviously have to be better if we want to win game 2.
Next row back.
Yeah, you had a starting lineup change. What was the reasoning going to Wallace, and then late you closed with no centers? Are you seeing at least early that this might be a smaller series?
It was tonight. That was obviously the intention. I thought getting Kaysen out there, really defensively, giving us another perimeter guy for Halliburton and Nemhard. That was the idea there. We've been pretty fluid with the lineup throughout the course of the season. Kaysen started 40-something games. We changed the lineup a million times. We obviously heading in the playoffs, but that's why we do it during the regular season, is so that it's not earth-shattering when we do it. So I thought the guys adapted. We got off to good starts in both halves, but we'll see how the series goes. We obviously have a lot of optionality. We'll look at everything. We'll look at anything we can to try to give ourselves the best chance to win.
Fourth row on the right.
I think Indiana scored 12 points in the final 2.5 minutes. Do you think it was the pace that kind of put you guys at a disadvantage, or how would you assess how your defense performed in the last 2.5 minutes?
A little bit of everything. They made some plays on some of those plays. They made some shots. They got a couple that you wish you get back. We had bonus fouls, which were costly. And then offensively, we didn't move the scoreboard as well as we could have. And so you just add all that up, and that's how you get that sort of comeback. But, you tip your hat to them. They made plays. They've done it all playoffs. This is part of their identity. They have a lot of belief. They never think they're out of it, so they play with great confidence even when their back's against the wall. They proved that tonight. And, to me, that's a game that they went and got. And it's a game that we can look at and improve in a lot of different areas, and that's good. That's our challenge right now as we head into game 2.
Last question over here, Randall, third row on the left.
Daniel Bell, BSO. Their last turnover came with a lot of time left in the game. Did you feel like there was anything that you guys stopped doing to cause those turnovers? Did you feel like there was anything that they did to stop turning the ball over?
We can look at it. It's never our end game. Is to turn them over. It's really about disruption, disruption of their rhythm, getting our pressure into the game, using our speed. And oftentimes that yields turnovers, but it also yields non-rhythm shots. And so if they're lining up rhythm shots or getting, deep in the paint on us, then that we've had some sort of breakdown of that. But it's not just about turning them over. It's about trying to force them away from what's comfortable. And I thought we did that for much of the game. But obviously, down the stretch, they did a great job of generating what they needed to win.